The Maine podcast is a free media source with a mission to provide better transparency in the market to connoisseurs, medical patients, recreational users, store owners, growers, extractors, and everyone in between. This is made possible through generous support from our sponsors who cover all corners of the great state of Maine. Special thank you goes out to Treeline Cannabis, Planet Tim, Watered Roots, Rugged Roots, The Heady Yeti, Tastefully Baked, Cure Cannabis, The Shack 420, Humble Family Farms, Cannamelts, Salty Cultivation, The North Fire, Highbrow, Team Green, Seaworks & Co., Bathe Space, Zero Gravity Extracts, Wisely Cannabis, and Stoner & Co. For more information on how you can support those who support us, please visit our website, www.mainpodcast.com, and click our sponsors tab. I mean, really, like, who was growing it?
That is
we already know, like,
good
you could
question.
buy good, like, you could go to a good store and still get really bad pre-rolls. Imagine, like, how bad those pre-rolls must have been.
That dude was.
And
You mean most good stores sell really bad pre-rolls? Is what you're saying? Other than the ones like,
What did
we
I
got to give a
say?
shout out to Planet Tim. Is
Planet
that
Tim,
he
baby.
brought some fire pre-rolls. We were like kind of talking about it. We were on mic, but I mean, dude, tell us what is all there on the table?
Oh man, yeah. So I brought you guys. So got to give a shout out to my boy Mike Ellis over at the Maine Cannabis Company. This is a beautiful one of his new Prerolls that he's doing.
Size of a grown man's fucking finger.
Size
too.
of a grown man's finger. Yeah, it's these things are bomb, man. The Easton Eye LA Pop Rocks. Half a gram of water hash, and I got a very similar one that is a rose petal roll. I got a GMO cookie pre-roll from Paul's Boutique. I got a gas pack garden unbroken chain, and of course, big shout out to my man Rick Roller. Got you guys a big 2-gram Gorilla Cake flower cannon.
Yeah, and let's talk about him for a second too, because I didn't realize he was so on the scene at one point.
Rick?
You know, he was really into this cannabis culture.
Oh yeah.
Brought the shadow rap to everything. You know, and I remember seeing that stuff, and I was like, someone's like, well, that was him, and I was like, oh my god, he's the fucking guy that started it. You know, he just always got his account deleted. It seems like.
Oh, I know. I know. That's a fucking shame too. But he's the man. I mean, he god damn does he do some amazing work. And I have seen on his Instagram recently, I guess, that he's going to start growing his own and turning into a one-man.
I saw that
Actually,
also.
makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It does make sense.
It does make sense,
Yeah.
you know, because I mean, if you have to depend on, getting your flowers from a caregiver or from a storefront or whatever, and well, they don't have anything for you, you got nothing to roll.
We also think too with what he can charge on the fair market at retail.
Yeah.
And what you could get out of a small fucking grow tent, and how many pre-rolls you get out of that grow tent. It's like almost just makes sense, you know, like you're just
Without a
fucking
doubt.
making a shit ton of money
Yes.
off of doing this. And granted, it's worth it because he does spend a lot of time making these. They're not like
does.
it's, you know, I've talked to a lot of people and they're like, if it's not right, he starts over, you
Without a
know,
doubt.
so.
Without a doubt. No, he's the man. I mean, I've smoked a lot of those, and I've never smoked one that did not burn perfectly. I can say that I've never finished one. My wife, she's an edible person. Mm-hmm. She doesn't smoke too often, but she does like some cartridges. But I don't have anyone to smoke them with. So it's usually me and her, and then it ends up being me out on my fucking balcony with a cannon, and she usually comes out and wakes me up about an hour or two later.
How
the hell off the balcony, get in the bed, yeah.
How selective is she about the type of edible she takes? Is she partial to? Does it need to be like a full spec? Does it?
Yes.
Does it?
Yeah. Well, I like for it to be.
For her.
I like for it to be for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a great relationship with my friends Mike and Emily over at Maine Craft Cannabis. You guys just
Yeah, we just.
Yeah, those
dropped
guys
that.
are really cool.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Super cool people.
You guys dropped that. Awesome podcast. They're such good people. But they make some really, really good dark chocolate, 450 milligram bars.
Yeah, no, I got to try them too.
Yeah, that are dope. Very good. I can't think of the manufacturer, but Beach Boys sells, I guess they're called 420 bars. They're manufactured by someone, I don't know, I want to say Hazy Hill, but I think that's wrong, so sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Hazy Hill.
No, 420 bars. I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they're I mean, they're around. You hear about like bobblehead bars, you hear 420 bars, but they're great. They're insane. They got a lot of different flavors, whereas some manufacturers doing edibles only use dark chocolate because that shit's good for you or whatever, like red wine. But she likes the milk chocolate and toffee, so we go with those 420 bars from Beach Boys and the 450s from Maine Craft Cannabis.
You know what else is a good option that I like for the price point is the Kind Farm bars.
I have not tried. So yeah,
They're
I've
half
not tried
distillate,
them.
half full spectrum hash rosin, and they're $20 for 300 milligrams. And it's like,
Oh,
and
they're
they come,
half and half?
yeah, it's a cool concept of a way to bump up that milligram, so you still get that high dose, but you're also getting some cannabinoids, which I know are important to people. So when you think they have like 25 different flavors of them too, not even plugging them. So if you hear this Kind Farms, love a percentage of any sales that follow this podcast episode. No, but in all seriousness,
Dude, they're just about everywhere. I don't know if you could have increased where they are.
I know,
Very
and they,
true.
Might be a little bit.
Very true.
they just
It is
sling
a
those
good
things
price
out.
point
They have,
thing, though,
oh
too.
yeah,
It's amazing.
They,
price
and they
point.
It
put
is.
like these little toppings on them too sometimes that make the bar just feel so much more interactive and like a step above some of the other stuff that's going on, because like the Rice Krispie one has like a layer of Rice Krispie on the top. Which is like just really cool, and like the Fruity Pebble one kind of has some Fruity Pebbles on top, so that, and like the cookies and cream cookies on top and stuff like that. So they've really come through with that look that I feel like is important. But also, while we're on the topic of edibles, you know who crushes like outnumbers for edibles? L'Kine. They are such a producer. I never realized how many people use them to make the edibles, and then they go ahead and it's like drop shipping in a sense. She makes whatever you want, and will make it in any amounts you want, and she just crushes it. Crushes it.
I'm gotta say, I'm not actually familiar with that.
It's funny. It's like she has a cool little brand, L'Kine Kitchen, obviously, and she has some of her products that are OUI, D, so weed. But it's like weed, weed, and she all this play off like French words and stuff. It's a pretty cool brand. She makes some good truffles, she's the partner with Dunny Gummies. She's the one that makes the Dunny Gummies and stuff like that. So
Gotcha. Okay.
and that's the consistency on those things are freaking perfect all the time, every single tin. And I was talking about it today with Walter, and he was saying the same thing. He's like, that girl just crushes in the kitchen nonstop. So
Very nice. Yeah.
She must have a lot of ovens.
She must have.
I would assume
Industrial size must have been commercial.
I don't know what her numbers are on other stuff that will require an oven, like baked items. But I mean, a gummy, I think at some point would require emulsification on like a stovetop and stuff.
Right,
so
for sure.
There's definitely, she definitely has some sort of infrastructure because
Without a doubt.
Yeah, she cranks them out.
Any
She's
idea if
putting
she
out a
was
lot.
in that type of? Was she doing that in a non-medicated way before for a lot of businesses down in the Portland area or beyond?
I don't know.
You think?
I have no clue.
Yeah, I
to be
have no
fair,
backstory on that.
I
either.
don't. I
have
actually
it.
like to have her on. Her name's Juicy.
Juicy.
Miss Juicy, baby. And so
if you're listening, Juicy.
Yes. No, but she'd be a great one to have on too, to talk a little bit about it, just because she has a different approach. I think a lot of people, rather than being necessarily a main brand, she's and I don't mean like main brand as in like the state of Maine, but like a main brand herself, a L'Kine. It's more of like, I can assist all these other businesses by making whatever they want at a good volume, and I thought that's great. It's cool to see all these different variations of business models emerging for the cannabis industry. And it just goes to further prove the point of why the medical industry needs to be saved, because everything that's been created, and even the stuff that has pulled Maine out of the pandemic and what's going to continue to pull Maine out of the pandemic, is kind of at threat. There's a lot of different things, and
all the people who are employed by it, and the amount of tourism that will come in because of cannabis.
That already is, even in like
Oh my God,
it's like
we had more people in 2020 than we should have had here.
Yes.
and that I feel
what brought them in. It was cannabis.
And I felt a little bit more some type of way, obviously, about COVID than I think Carrie did. I took it a little bit more seriously. I was a little bit more on the air side of caution.
Going, though. I did. I was there for a few months with you.
Yeah,
sure.
no, that's
Sort of.
It's hard to be consistent. I get that.
Dude, it's not like that.
No, I didn't want to get into the debate like that, but I wanted to say that
Sure.
it was amazing to see how many people regardless of a pandemic, were like, I'm going to follow the rules. Yeah, like even if I don't necessarily, they didn't follow the quarantine, but they were willing to take a little bit of a risk to come to Maine to still get their meds. And I mean, fucking, it was booming. You know, it was like COVID was really like saved in the sense, or the Maine medical market saved Maine during COVID. 100% with the tax dollars, especially with how much money is going out. The only thing I think that's going to continue to save it is the Maine medical program.
Without a doubt. And it's continuing to, you know, I mean, even as COVID, I guess, is, I don't know, what's the word? Going away? I don't know. As we approach herd immunity.
Are we that close?
I don't fucking know. I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't think we're anywhere near that close. I think.
Well, there will never be herd immunity in Androscoggin County. Just to let you know.
No, very right. But no, for real. Like, I mean, it's going to be here for a little while. You know, I mean, they're declaring states of emergency down in the South again, and you got 1 million fucking people getting on airplanes every day. Now, I think this is the 12th day in a row that more than 1 million people have flown. Okay.
Well, yeah, and it's just, and the thing is too is I wonder how many. There's so many people I know that are down in Florida, and someone signed a.
Get them back here.
Wait, that you do know?
No, that I oh yeah, probably.
Living, or are they down there for spring break?
Oh, down there for spring break. 50 to 100 people I know are down. Oh yeah, it's booming. And the funniest thing is I see I've seen some people that have taken a really hard stance on COVID, and I mean way left. Like, mask the hell up, don't question anything, like, you know what I'm saying, get the vaccine, yada, 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 and they fucking see them at spring break down in Florida in a club.
That's some funny shit right there.
I'm like, okay, I get it, don't get me wrong. I was a little bit more cautious about it, but you can even ask, when the numbers went up, I just didn't go out as much.
Yep.
I stayed in, I separated
man.
all that stuff. I just took a little bit more cautious. Now as the numbers have declined, I've been able to go out and do a little bit more things. That's just my personal comfort level. But I'm not going to sit out there and preach, stay in your fucking house, don't do anything, how dare you question it, and then go out to spring break in frickin' Florida.
Right.
You know, so it's like there's so much of that shit happening. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's about the definition of hypocritical right there.
Yeah.
How do you deal with it? How do you find yourself dealing with it?
Smoked a lot of weed. Sorry, I didn't mean to answer that.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. Cannabis got me through 2020.
Did it?
It really did. 2020 was I'm going to try and stop cursing so much. 2020 was a rough year for me, actually. Lost my father in June of 2020 to what has now been deemed COVID-related death. But he was 95 years old, you know, lived a great life, battled cancer for 4 years, had never ingested cannabis in 91 years of living.
91.
He was there, man, when, reefer madness was put into place. I mean, he remembers when the government was, said, you got to attack this shit, you got to attack weed. So growing up in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, I mean, this to him was as bad as heroin or
crack,
cocaine or
all
crack.
That. Yeah, it was like the crack epidemic of New York.
Correct.
But
he didn't know any better.
Where'd you guys grow up? Where'd he grow up?
He grew up in Boston.
He was in Boston. Okay.
Well, he went in between Arlington, Mass, and South Portland. Cape Elizabeth.
Was the prohibition on marijuana, was that pre-World War I or after World War I? But like in the 30s.
It was after World.
37 comes to mind for some reason, and I'm not sure why. And that might have bbeen like right before World War II starts. So it's one of those.
37 actually rings a bell to me too, and I don't know
because before
why.
that it was still looked at or viewed at as a farm, a crop.
Correct.
And it didn't have all the stigmas quite yet.
Correct. I mean, it was still hemp.
The Marijuana Tax Act of 1937 effectively made possession or transfer of marijuana illegal throughout the United States.
And that's what killed
you were fucking pinpoint on with the year and everything. Holy moly! I don't know.
I don't know how he did that.
Well, you're kind of a little bit of a history buff, aren't you?
I've been trying to study it a lot more.
Yep.
Look at it on a national level and on what happened on a state level here too.
Right.
Because you spend some time, like you either immerse yourself into it. We haven't looked at this historically yet. And remember, we talked about that at times too. we were hoping from the podcast, one of the things that would happen is we're not going around with video to shoot stuff in a historical sense, and who would want themselves on video for the most part?
Right.
There's going to come a time when possibly that does a little bit more, but it's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah.
I think the important part, though, is documenting what we're going through in an audio sense to have it. So, I mean, I could see myself really wanting to like pump out, record 3-4 times a week for that purpose. Try and do the snapshot of all these people and all these entities where they are now. I mean,
Absolutely.
I love to revisit. We did one of our early episodes with Wisely, and I've become really good friends with them. And I love talking to him, Calvin. I get to talk with him. It's great to see. I'm sure that the story we told last year and this year are remarkably different there, too.
Yes.
You've seen that.
Yes, without a doubt. Yeah.
What drew you into like being such an avid supporter of the cannabis community? And we can get to the medical after, but because I think it's always been more of a cannabis purpose you found, right?
It has, yeah.
Was it when treating your dad a little bit, helping him a little bit? Did that make a difference?
That made my mother passed from cancer, 13 years ago. And I was her caregiver as well. And I am going to mention Big Pharma real quick.
Sure.
We were living down in D.C. at the time, and Washington, D.C., and that was before it was legal there. And the oncologist that she had, he was an all right dude. He wasn't against cannabis, but obviously he was pro fucking chemotherapy and everything.
Well, a lot of them, I feel like those, not to cut you off too, I feel like medical professionals are kind of silenced in that sense, where it's hard. They, a lot of them are very fearful.
Correct.
Of being able to say anything about
it, and it's correct. I think it's changing a little bit. Like my doctor and I now, we can have an open conversation about it.
It was a little taboo at first. I feel like they were like, they didn't want anyone to, walls were thin.
Exactly
God forbid
right.
if the doctor next door that was against it or didn't really believe in it as much heard that, so that would have been a way for them to question your license.
Exactly right. And that's what they were, and and are worried about now. But I remember, basically when it was clear that my mother didn't have a whole lot of time left, I went to her doctor and, I said, look, for the past 25 years, I've been working with cannabis. And I would like to see if there was some way we could get her some medical cannabis. The only option at that time, aside from her son supplying it to her, was
and that's what you could find at the time, because that's give or take 14, 15 years ago. That's when the surge.
That's exactly right.
Right.
So the doctor says to me,
God, I don't think I could have found much of anything back in 2007.
Yeah, no.
I wasn't that connected.
Right. Yeah, it was.
That was before.
Yeah.
That was weed.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So to find somebody who was doing RSO or anything like that would have been
very difficult to find, but amazing. Yes, absolutely. This doctor said that he said, "Oh yeah," he said, "No problem. I'd be happy to give you a prescription for marijuana." He writes a prescription for this pill called Marinol.
I've heard,
it's synthetic, lab created, replicated THC. I mean, it's not real THC; it's synthetic, and it almost killed my mother. I mean, he prescribed the dosage, and she had the worst reaction to it. Had to be put in the hospital for 3 days. Oh, it was a mess, man. She came home. When she got home from the hospital, I was rolling them up for her. I was helping her out with some Rick Simpson oil, and made all the difference in the world. There was no way at that point that she could be saved.
A lot more comfort, though.
Yep, there was
Is that what it was?
Yep, there was no way
able to cope with it.
No way that she was going to, live for much longer. But she lived the last 6 months of her life pain-free and relatively happy. As opposed to miserable, and that's just not the way that people with cancer should have to live, or anybody really.
I think we've seen enough examples, especially with our parents or our parents' parents in passing, what death looks like and how we treat it, and,
Yeah.
or how we could allow hospitals to treat it.
Right.
That's one of those things. And so we have to have this this opportunity to create our own medicines and to offer our own, to be recognized as medicine.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt.
Absolutely.
For stories like yours.
Absolutely.
And many others that we've had on the podcast too. I mean, this is a common enough theme. And I see people who take solace in this more than I do. I haven't heard people tell bad stories about how cannabis affected later life.
Right.
Doesn't mean it needs to be introduced then, but understanding it younger is so much better.
Absolutely. Oh, without a doubt. Yeah.
You think there's a lot more cannabis knowledge out there? Gaining? More mainstream? Anything like that? I still don't see it talked about too much mainstream.
I don't see it talked about too much. I certainly don't see it talked about enough.
To be fair, I don't know if it depends on, I guess, what lens you look through it, like a recreational or medical lens. One, medicinal stuff is not really talked about that much. It's not like a hit. It doesn't grab
Nobody
headlines.
talks about medicinal.
And no
It's
one
not
talks
fun to
about
talk-
recreational
it's not fun
stuff.
to talk about. Yeah.
You don't hear people often talk about beer. I mean, maybe, there could be more cooking shows that involve cannabis, and it seems like those are coming up on Netflix and shit. But
There have been, there's been some good,
I've seen
3 or
some.
4 good ones.
But I don't know if is it ever going to be a headline? Like, it's just, we know how news cycles work.
Yeah.
And if we're talking about mainstream media and talking about like that, and even your local news stations, I mean, they're into stuff that's going to grab views, which unfortunately now is freaking major catastrophes and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure.
So-
Jesus Christ, yeah. I mean, I didn't find out until this morning what happened yesterday. I mean, this
What happened yesterday?
In Colorado.
Colorado, man, some dude shot and killed 10 people in a grocery store.
Oh man, I saw a little bit about that, but that's the problem with the news and everything now is that
That's what it's all about.
They just drain people. I don't even watch anymore. I don't
can't.
watch any of it especially after COVID 2020. I
Can't do
don't
it.
watch news. It's
Can't
like
do it.
I don't care.
It is
And
the
normally
most-
whatever is important enough to filter down through the channels that naturally be like this, I end up retaining that information.
Exactly right. I can't do it, man. I turn on the news. I used to love watching the news. Now it just gives me anxiety. It's freaking depressing. There is nothing positive
No.
on the news these days. I think a couple of news stations have these what they call feel-good segments, but it needs to be talked about a lot more. But I honestly think that we're getting there. I think it's going to be in the conversation a lot more over the next 5 years.
What part of it? Like getting there in what way? Are you talking in a media source or a media sense or something different? Where are we it's not even like we have our moments of obviously we look forward to this being positive, but we also look at this as being controversial too, or not controversial, talking about today's topics and how we're all like, it's as much about the podcast as it is 2021 now.
Yeah, for sure.
For
sure.
Where are we at?
Yeah,
That was a ripple. Like COVID sent a ripple through
did.
humanity, through 8 billion people. How
Yes,
can
it
you
did.
not have some sort of greater impact than perhaps you've ever had on any stage? And
Right.
I'm not downplaying any wars.
I'm
I'm not saying it that way, but
I believe, speaking with a couple people I know in the media, speaking to some of my friends at High Times Magazine, so there are currently polls being done, basically, like you asked me, what did you do to get through 2020? Some people did yoga,
yeah, right?
Goat yoga. I've always wanted to do goat yoga. by the
Go
way.
yoga, yeah. Whatever got you through. I think
Wait, I want to make that happen for Evan. Okay, let's just make sure we get that.
No, I will fucking do it. If someone can get me some of those mini goats to like jump on you and shit while you're doing it, they're hella friendly. They're cool.
those things are the cutest.
You'd like
Yeah,
to
they are
sponsor the podcast with 2 mini goats, please.
Well, and
We'll take
like
that.
if you scare a goat, it just passes out.
It just falls down.
It just
yeah.
like it's called what are they like
Yeah.
frozen goat syndrome or
Right.
something. You can be like and the goat will just fucking boop stiff right up and doop, right over.
Oh yeah. I
So-
don't know. Did they do that because? Did they do that on purpose?
No,
is
I
that
think
a
it's just
defense
I think
tactic,
it's
or
a
did
def-
they just freak out?
It's like
oh shit.
yeah. I think it's like oh my god, this person might be trying to kill me. Let me
play
pretend
dead.
like I'm already dead.
Right,
Like
got it. Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
the natural body's defense
so
reaction.
damn good at it, aren't they?
Yeah.
But you were talking about that. Sorry to bring it back.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah. Oh, the goat. No.
2020, you talked about like some people seeked meditation. You know, I think we all got caught up in news in the early part of 2020.
Cannabis didn't
Not
get me
personally,
through
yeah.
2020, but cannabis culture did, if that makes sense. You know, it was everything kind of going on. It was a lot. I feel like a lot of people did. There was a lot going on Instagram that you could involve with,
Correct.
engage with. The whole culture of cannabis in general is what kind of helped me get through 2020. The sours came in, and we were like taste testing sours and stuff like that over Zoom with the boys when it was like it first came out and everything was serious, and obviously ingesting cannabis at the same time. So. It was the whole culture itself, and that's what I think is another big threat to everything that goes on. Is just that it seems like a lot of moves to become more professional, more structured, unfortunately can kill a culture if you don't walk a fine line. We see a lot of businesses that go through it, and that some are able to go through that process and keep a good culture, and some just aren't. And that's the biggest fear, I think, too, with OMP is like, are they going to be able to implement enough structure to where people feel like they can run a business and the government feels like everything is being followed to the utmost that it could be followed. And at the same time, is there still going to be culture left in the entire market itself? Or is it just going to become, sterile? So.
Boy. You raise a really good point. And I guess when I say that cannabis got me through 2020, I think that what I meant to say was actually what you referred to.
The culture?
The culture.
Yeah.
I feel blessed to have, to know so many people in this community and to have established friendships. And, it was those friendships, it was those social distancing, smoke sessions during, last summer and that got me through it. Stacy got me through it. I should probably start by saying
let's
that.
recognize.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, so she got me through it, but
Second, and we're not going to say it's even close.
Right,
but
not
second.
even a very distant second was the community. It's just, it's such a beautiful thing, man. And I got to tell you, I have lived in and been a part of what I would once have considered to be very sacred cannabis communities throughout the country, but most specifically in Colorado, Oregon, Washington, and California. And I have witnessed, firsthand, unfortunately, so many times exactly what is happening now in Maine.
Right.
My buddy, very good friend of mine, with whom I toured, we toured with the Dead for years together. He lives out in Oregon. He's a farmer. Moved out there 25 years ago. Started growing and has had a very successful, a very lucrative career. But he's still young. He's younger than me. He's like 45 years old. He's got a long time to go, and the medical program is really what got him to where he was. There are no regulations now anymore in Oregon.
How come? What do you mean, no more regulations?
Are you aware that they just decriminalized
heroin?
Yeah. LSD,
Cocaine.
cocaine.
It's actually legal to ingest cocaine, but it's not legal to use the straw.
Correct.
Unless it's non-disposable. Which studies have now pointed that the making of aluminum and non-disposable straws hurts the environment more than disposable straws ever will.
Yeah.
Because of what the process is to make them and all the
make them,
fossil
yeah.
fuels. It's like,
Greater
it's
impact.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the electric car thing. Like no one talks about the fucking batteries and shit. It's
Right.
all these.
I've been
Dude,
hearing
I could
that
have a
lot
whole
more.
conversation about disposable straws. Isn't that pathetic? Right?
Well,
Our
continue though,
oceans are-
Tim. I want to know
Yeah.
more about what you're saying about that and how the regulations in Oregon kind of fell off.
Yeah. So the medical programs have been so incredibly successful in these states, man. But
Up until a point.
Up until a point, and if you do your research and you look at the data, it has taken approximately the same amount of time as it has here in Maine when big business wants to come in and ruin a very prosperous, lucrative, amazing community. You know, Colorado was the first to do it. So, I mean, just...
Well, I want to put it in perspective to people, too. When we say that the community gets degraded, we're talking about the local craft sense. The community that you talk with does, unfortunately, systematically get broken down. And then you are left with your warehouse sessions like you see in California that get raided, where you have trash weed that's shoved in Mylar bags, that overzealous salesmen at every booth trying to shove it down your throat, saying that, you know, I got you, brother, I got the best hash. You know, all the people down in Massachusetts are doing that. All the Mylar boys. Don't worry, I love you. I see where you're coming from, but they are going to benefit. That's it. And that's what we talk about, the whole degrading of the culture, is it's going to shift from a very classy, what I would consider a classy, cannabis industry, to something that's going to be on one or two sides. Either bank-like, extremely sterile, which we're talking about, or the other side's going to be the complete polar opposite, raging sesh that, you know, has zero sense of really any couth, and that's just how it is, you know. So there's no in the middle if we can't find some middle ground here.
Right. No, you're absolutely right, and those are the beautiful things that have changed in these, you know, wonderful left coast states. I mean, California is a wild place right now.
Oregon too.
Oregon too. But man,
Well, you can do heroin in Oregon, so yeah, it's pretty
you
fucking
do.
wild.
So it's got to be the best place, right? Obviously, yeah.
I heard the autonomous zone is back up there.
What is it, Ches or Chet? Or
I don't know if they're recognizing
Chad.
it that way,
Right,
but is
right.
it? Am I right in hearing?
You're
Have you
correct.
heard of that?
Yeah,
It's back again.
It's back again.
it's back again.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it's
Oregon's actually, but as much as people shit on it, it is obviously just this byproduct of what's going on in the state as far as who's there, who's leading it.
without a doubt.
But it's a great state. It is
great
a
state.
great fucking state, especially for cannabis tourism. Even though the culture's not there anymore, there is still some shops you can go to that do carry some good sun-grown product. And Oregon's just fucking gorgeous. It's like,
Unbelievable.
I loved going there and trying some weed. I went out for my friend's graduation at Lewis and Clark, and it's just like you're in this fucking. I went to Portland. You're basically in
Portland's
this
a great
city.
though.
You're in this
Portland's
city,
amazing.
but there's
Oh,
it's like a friggin' forest
Awesome.
surrounding you at the same time. It you almost feel more engulfed in in a weird utopia than anywhere else I've ever been. You know, like you have these skyscrapers that jutting up right next to mountainsides with all the, you know, lush trees and stuff like that. It's like, what? It's just so weird.
It is, but it's spectacular.
Oh, it's so cool. I would encourage anyone that hasn't been and go to the autonomous zone. Just shake their hands.
Go to the
Let them
autonomous
know
zone.
What's happening?
Let them know the main
What's happening,
podcast sent
Chaz?
you.
That's right. That's right. Give them a
we'll
high
give you a
five and get
free,
the fuck out. As
We'll
quickly
give you
as
a free
can.
sticker.
That's right.
For the trip.
We are gonna
We'll give you
give-
10 of
yes.
them. We'll give you 10 of them.
Anyone that goes to the autonomous zone or Chaz Chet
Hit
or
us
whatever
up.
that is, hit us up. We'll hook you up with Planet Tim stickers to slap up all around
There
that
you go.
place.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Spread the love.
Shit. I'll have the feds on me within a couple of days. That's all right. Fuck them.
You talked about it, the left coast being more in a more optimistic way.
I do.
How come? Like, what are you recognizing, or what are you seeing from past? Were there as many caregivers in, say, like an Oregon compared to or
Yeah, for
Washington
sure.
as well, right?
For sure.
There are more caregivers here than there were in those spots, or like.
So,
Any idea?
okay.
I've always wondered that
You hear-
balance.
Well, there wasn't that
percentage
move
within
too,
the-
and not to even cut you off too, but there wasn't. You have to
Right.
think in Maine, we were at the point where any other state following now is going to continuously have more. Why? Because everyone that's been pushed out of another market, there's the opportunity. Like look at Oklahoma or whatever that opened up. There was like no regulation, they had like 25,000 caregivers
Yeah.
or something freaking nuts like that.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
so
That'd be nuts.
Yeah. it's
How's
it's
that shake
ridiculous.
down? How's that going to shake
It's-
down?
Oklahoma's
That's-
currently selling weed at $1,200 a fucking pound. No,
Well,
I don't know,
yeah,
but maybe something like that, I would think.
I wouldn't imagine. I wouldn't be surprised if it's cheaper than that.
Yeah.
But what I've seen in Maine, I have seen more caregivers here than I have in Washington, Oregon, Colorado, or California. It's a big fucking states. Well, Maine's a big fucking state too, but
Yeah, on the geographically.
On the
Small enough population.
very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
We have the population of one fucking high rise in New York.
Yeah, that's
Kinda
right.
feels
That's
that
right.
way.
It does kind of feel that way, but that's a good way.
That's why we're good neighbors.
That's why we're good neighbors.
And also, too, why I do think we fared. I think you could have put, to be fair, a headless being in the governor's seat over COVID. I think Maine would have done pretty well because it's just like someone said when they came out with the social distancing rules. They're like, "Well, we've been doing this in Maine for fucking
Exactly.
how long?" It's like people in Maine don't like it coming up on their grill. They don't
Exactly.
really hang out with anyone that they're not already around. So it is.
Very
It's a pretty cool place that we're in. It was awesome, I think, and I think the numbers are going back down. The summer too was great, and I mean, people in Maine just don't like doing that. There's not this big over sense of being together like you have in
Absolutely.
California,
Right.
And that's what I was following this person. She has a good following, and she was saying she moved back out to the East Coast, and she said the difference between the East Coast and the West Coast is the West Coast everyone will kiki to your face and they'll flip you off and talk shit behind your back. Like you go New Jersey or Maine or Maryland, they'll just fucking tell you to fuck right off to your face and get out of here.
doubt.
That's the
Without
biggest
a doubt.
difference she said about the two. She's like, that's why I'm coming here because I'll actually be able to know who likes me and who doesn't. So
There's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of truth to that. I've lived in a lot of places, and you find out who your friends are pretty quick.
yeah, the overly
there.
nice, all that. That
Oh
seems to be
yeah.
the,
Oh yeah. And you can tell. You can tell when people are being overly nice.
yeah, here they'll just not talk to you. They'll just give you a blank stare, and you're like, "All right, well, that
Right.
dude didn't like me."
Right,
We're
exactly.
going on to the next one.
Right, but fair enough, right? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
Hey, at least you know.
What year was it that the Colorado market changed over? And I'm only asking because I think it must have happened before 2012 because we ended up getting a lot of people who were caregivers who were from Colorado area as
Was
well,
before
right?
two-
Like,
was-
how come they didn't go to Cali? That's what I was thinking.
Well, California
They were
already
so had
had
to have
already
that.
had its kind of downfall. People already saw that coming.
Had it already
Right.
been?
That had already happened.
It's it would be like coming to Maine right now. Why would you come to Maine right now? It's in the midst of starting its down in the sense of it. Like Tim said, anyone that's looked at any other place will be able to say we are on the path, the trajectory to end up like every other state is. But I will also, for a counter argument about the sky's falling, is that there is players in the game, I've said this multiple times, that are playing both sides of the fence. I want the medical market to be saved, but also I'm going to trap the shit out of everything and basically prove these guys right and why there needs to be overregulation.
yes.
There has to be a little bit of an understanding that we're no longer in the Wild West. The money ain't going to be there like it was before. That's just the truth about it. If you continuously try to search or chase that high in hopes to hit, whatever you trapped out in the first 6 months, 5 years ago, it's just not going to happen. It's not. There has to be that coming to, in a sense, come to reality and understand that numbers are going to change.
Yeah.
And there are people that are playing by the rules that are seriously trying to run a business, and these overregulations are going to crush them.
Yes, they are.
If you want to continue to play the black market, no one cares. Just fucking play the black market.
Right.
Don't sit there and try to do both at the same time.
Right. Yeah. And like you said, I mean, there's a lot of
think
people
you-
out there who are doing that. Mm-hmm. A lot of people out there who are doing that, and
And I'm talking from a store perspective.
Right.
I'm not talking about, I think there's a lot of, we all know how the cannabis industry is, and I think there's a lot of advocates that maybe have a side hustle. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the stores that are really we don't need these regulations, but we're also the reason why they're kind of doing them.
Right.
So that's what I'm more so saying in that.
Would
Yep.
you rather have cultivators playing into the black market as opposed to Curaleaf or wellness and stuff like that too? Because that's an option. So these people who are on that fence, people who have always made money on the side.
That's some old
they're
debate
not
right
putting-
there.
What's
Yeah.
that?
That's literally that's the debate.
Yeah.
Is how do you want your cannabis to shape out? And I think the biggest fight right now is we don't want two options. We want the third option
Correct.
that's not on the table, which is keep it like it is.
Right.
Keep some of it like it is, the majority of the infrastructure like it is. Make the tweaks that you have to hone the bad apples and to get them to either fall in line or
Sure.
fall out.
yeah, for sure.
But we don't want it to be wellness or Curaleaf or the black market.
Correct.
We want in the middle. We don't want it to buy it at Curaleaf. We want to buy it on a regulated market, but we know the product's safe, that there is some standards being implemented.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if I don't care, if there isn't some sort of standard, if it came down to someone losing their shirt, losing their house, their business, or spraying a little bit of fucking Eagle 20,
Yeah.
you know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But you know what proper regulations might do? Keep me from inhaling that Eagle 20,
Yeah.
And that's, I think, is really important. There has to be some sort of standard.
There does. There does. But what Maine has going on right now with the medical program is a beautiful fucking thing, man. It's like yesterday when we were hearing from the OMP and a lot of people who were speaking and doing their testimony, it truly is the gold standard as far as medical cannabis is looked at throughout this country. That will change, I have a feeling. And people are probably...
No, that's it. I don't think it changes. I think Maine and maybe Oklahoma or the next state that pops up in the next couple of years. There might be okay, we're medical friendly, come here, because there's an opportunity for them.
Right.
I think it's just a really good business cycle, continual business cycle to go from, we have no industry, let's not take any chances. Here, we'll send in a couple of our normal corporations that go into an area.
Right.
They work the scene for a while, there's a give and take, but ultimately they end up crushing it.
Right.
And none of us want to see that world.
Absolutely not.
And
Absolutely
that's our
not, no.
little, that's our narrow, like our main, our community focus, our main focus, our regional focus. It's not the worldly focus, but that matters more right now than anything else that's going on out there. So, I hate to have blinders on about it sometimes, but it's true. That's where we're at.
No, you're absolutely right.
That's the point we are.
That is the point that we are. That's the point that we're at. And it's sad.
Is that what moved you to really get involved this past year?
Yes, it is.
You had connects, you had information, you have ways of sharing it.
Yeah.
You referenced High Times and having friends there.
I worked for High Times.
You worked for High Times. What capacity?
For a short period of time.
Sure.
And this is we're going back to when I was young.
Any potential you were the voiceover guy? You got a crazy radio voice, dude. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
No, I was not. But I was asked to be the voiceover guy for a few different companies back then.
Let's say it's like a deep, bassy voice. What's something that you could say? Can you say in a galaxy far, far away? Okay,
I didn't see that coming.
we're gonna have Xavier edit the fucking Star Wars music
Yeah,
into.
we'll add in the sound. Come on.
So give us a good one.
In a galaxy far, far away. I don't even. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Not bad.
We'll leave it at that one. No, my background is fucking weird, dude. When I was 13 years old, I was at a Washington Capitals hockey game with my father. I suffered. Well, at the time, nobody could tell me what I had suffered from. But we had front row seats. It was the opening game of the season. And so the very beginning of the game, all the fucking lights go out. They start doing the laser show, right? All of a sudden, I felt like...
Think Darude Sandstorm playing in the background. Dun, dun.
Exactly. I felt like I was dying all of a sudden. And
Really?
Yeah, I felt like I was having the first of many in my life full-blown panic attack.
Right.
I was 13 freaking years old, man. And so I'm telling my dad, here I am I'm sweating my ass off. He didn't know, he didn't care either. I went out into the car and I went to sleep. And so the next day I talked to my mother about it. My mother puts me in touch with this shrink, and before I know it, I'm being, they're shoving Xanax, fucking Valium, Klonopin, whatever benzo they could down my throat. And yeah, it kept it at bay. But what's the real problem here, dude?
Right.
So,
And none of those are really good. Although Klonopin could be a good weekend drug once in a while.
Klonopin is a fucking great weekend drug sometimes, especially if you just want to chill out and do nothing. Yeah. But that was, I started noticing. My parents started noticing that after I went on these drugs that were prescribed to me by a goddamn medical doctor, that I started doing worse in school. And but the thing is that I still had this very, very high level of anxiety, and I couldn't figure out where it was from. Well, I saw my first Dead show about 2 months later. And so the dude I went with, you know, he had a bag of Prerolls, and this was in 1984, I think it was, and
The Pablo Prerolls.
the Pablo Prerolls, and I just remember, I mean, I was only 13, but I loved it, man. I
Yep.
just loved the way it made me feel, and I remember just that feeling of the anxiety going away. That was it for me. I knew. I was 13 years old, man. I knew this drug was special. So my first thing was, it's going to sound stupid as shit, but I was like, all right, I got to get my hands on some more. How do I get my hands on some more? I'm 13 years old. I don't want to ask my brother's friend.
13 years old, that's pretty awesome.
13 years old, and so I hoof it down into D.C. to the corporate office of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, thinking,
They
these
have some.
motherfuckers got to have weed, right? I mean, so that's where I'm going. So I walk in there, you know, I'm 13, and I'm like, hey, and I told them my story of what had happened to me a few months ago, and they were like, you know, you're 13.
Dude, you're 13.
Yeah, like you're 13, and I was like, well, you know, I'm about to be 14, whatever. But I was like, I don't know why, but I need to be involved with you guys. So obviously I wasn't old enough for them to pay me or any of that shit, but that's where
Did
it
you
all.
get a hookup off that?
Yeah,
Yeah, it worked.
He still knows
worked.
a guy.
You bet.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there are some people that friends for life.
Yeah.
Man. But you know, I volunteered for them for like 3 summers and then another half of a summer, and then he hooked me up with High Times magazine, which I actually did photography for them, but I also had one of the greatest jobs in the fucking world, man. And I since I was young, I always had this amazing ability to pick out tastes, flavors, and shit from weed. So I actually, before I knew it, had people like sending me weed to smoke and write up what I thought about it and shit like that. And being able to sample these different types of cannabis, I was able to figure out what worked for me. And it was that was the beginning of my passion, man. I mean, I worked for the Department of Defense and the Department of Commerce for like 25 years, leading somewhat of a double life. During the day, I had my suit on, and I was working at, you know, contracts at the NSA and shit like that I could never talk about. And then at night, I was, you know, a cannabis activist. And I was a very young cannabis activist in D.C., and people took notice. And then, you know, when Colorado started wanting to draft their initial rules, I had some friends out there that wanted me to come out. So I've been blessed. I've had an opportunity to have my hands, or at least be involved in a lot of different rulemakings across the country. And, you know, I'm not a politician. I don't like getting into politics or talking about that type of shit, but I'm a realist. And I think if I have anything, I have common sense over what I've been doing for the last 30 some odd years. I'm pretty smart dude, and you know, that's what really has gotten me to be so passionate about this particular market. Because right now, in my opinion, the Maine medical market is really all that's left of a true, fantastic medical cannabis market, where you go and you know that you are going to be getting a good product at a reasonable price. It's not going to have fucking mold and pesticides and shit in it. Well, some people, you may get that from some people, but it's a special place, and you know, the OMP wanting to change, you know, the rules, and I understand that with time you have to adapt and you have to make changes, but look, and if, you know, Mr. Gunderson, if you happen to be listening, use some common sense yourself, sir. I mean, what was it? How much money did the cannabis industry bring in last year, man? I mean,
Quite a number. It was 262, was it?
266 or two?
Yeah, something like
Dude.
that.
And Mr. Gunderson, if you're also listening on behalf of the cannabis community, we do not accept Derek Shirley. Pennsylvania, you can take him back.
I mean, I'm a flower dude.
Yeah.
You know, there were
It's always been there for me.
It's
It's always how I had for the longest time.
exactly. I mean, when I was young, I was blessed if somebody found a tie stick, or they called it hash back then. I don't know if you remember these black little balls of tar, which basically I believe now were probably just pressed resin.
Yep. Yeah,
Which
probably.
makes me sick to think that I was, smoking and paying like what I was in the 80s for that. But I mean, it's what you had.
Yeah.
But I've been a flower guy my whole life. That's what I grew up on. That's what I enjoy. I love everything about the goddamn plant. I mean, I love the look. I love the smell. I love the way it feels. I mean, I don't know.
You loved it enough to lead a double life when that could have got you into a lot more trouble.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it sounds to me like you sort of weaved between the two worlds enough to know.
I did. I was able to navigate the waters pretty well.
Yeah.
I was able to navigate it well. I did my research. I knew my limits. But yeah, nobody knew. I mean, nobody that I worked with, never got real close with people I worked with. Because, they were all suits and we were different, So I never really got too close with them. But yeah, I'd leave my office, I'd hop on the metro, and before you knew it, I was at either normal headquarters or at somebody else's house, blazing up, trying to figure out a way to get in touch with our senators and our elected officials. And I was doing that, at 15 years old. I started calling those people, telling them, how they had to make reforms to the laws. And, 35 years later, here we are. And goddamn, I got to be honest with you, Kerry, man. I remember when I was, a kid, and we would always, especially that one time a month when your High Times magazine came, you're looking at the centerfold, and you're just like, do you ever think it will actually be legal? I mean, that was the question we always asked. And the answer was always, hell no. Like, no way in our lifetime will it ever be legal. We have come so far. I mean, it is truly amazing how far we've come. And it's because, of people. It's because of the people in the communities like this one in Maine that build these just beautiful places and turn it into something so special. And it's gonna be a real shame if the OMP does anything to the way things are here. But that's how I got passionate about it.
I like it. Evan hit it on the nail on the head when he was talking about culture. That's what's been so attractive for me, is that I know these people, know the brands.
Yep.
I know the kind of commitment they have or they've been showing towards community.
Right.
A lot of the good that's happened. And in a lot of ways too, although methods might not be the same, there's this overall idea of who's united going forward for the common good.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You do. I mean, you learn a lot. You learn a lot, especially my co-founder of the same Save Maine Medical Initiative, Grant Hill, and I. We've been going all around this state, man, for the past 3 months.
Yeah.
Meeting these people, and learning about their stories, and obviously passing out literature. But
That had to be fun for you to get out there.
It was amazing.
One of the things I've always enjoyed about the roles that I've had within companies is the opportunity to be able to go see people.
Absolutely.
We're in it.
Absolutely.
So that's as important, whether it's 10 minutes to 2 hours, 3 hours,
Without
whatever
a
it
doubt.
is.
Without a doubt.
Because I know that their time's valuable as
Yes.
well. Anybody who, all of our time is valuable. I'm not trying to put anybody, but the idea that we're going to have this outreach together, that we're going to talk about things, or
Correct.
or at least say hi,
Absolutely.
means a lot.
It does mean a lot.
Because that's going to mean a lot a couple years from now. It's going to be, or a couple months, or a couple years, however so long this can continue.
You betcha.
I think the longer it exists, the more powerful it can become.
You hit the nail on the
So
head
it's
right
about getting it, keeping the wheels turning.
there. Yes, it has to be consistent. You got to keep, like you just said. I mean, you got to keep going. You got to keep moving. You cannot slow down. I firmly believe that in a lot of the states out west, that holy shit, okay, we finally got it. And they gave up. They didn't fight for what they had been waiting for so long. At least the people I know, they just sort of accepted what was happening. I don't think there was much transparency.
Where were they going to turn? What were they going to do next then? Or what were the alternatives? Was it black market?
Yes.
Did that occur until?
Yes, without a doubt.
Does it still continue?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So it doesn't get, it's not going to be one of these things that gets wiped out for the here and now. But they know where you live.
But they know where you live.
Yeah. So when the time comes, if they want to.
Unfortunately, yes. But yeah,
We've given up a lot in the last
we
few
have.
years, have we
Yes,
not?
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
Yes, we have. But no, I mean, like you said, what are these people going to do? They're going to close. Or they're going to, and I hate to say this, and this is a question that has been posed to me, but it's not a question that I've heard anyone else ask or even mention. And so I'm gonna ask you your opinion.
Okay.
And you don't even have to give it to me if you don't want to. But so okay, I'm gonna bring up one place, Theory Wellness in South Portland. Okay, fucking hate that place. All right, I know that it operates with out-of-state capital.
Yep.
I know that it operates with out-of-state products.
Yep. Oh, and products.
Yes, not all.
Okay.
But I do know that that they bring
Well,
some of
maybe-
their product from Massachusetts.
What might be
So
in-house product. All of it is in-house product, is it not?
It is.
From start to finish, from the flower to the concentrates to the edibles to the
Yes. Yes.
CBD products.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So I actually had someone in the community reach out to me for advice. Advice which I was unable to give them. And here was the question. I am out of work, she said. She has a family to support, 2 kids. She has a husband who's disabled. She needed a job. Theory was hiring, has been hiring, because I don't think anyone has taken the job yet. Same with Cureleaf. They've been on the Indeed job listings now for the past 2 months. I don't think they filled the position.
Pretty much being left vacant.
Left vacant. So she asked me, Tim, how do you think the people in the community are going to look at me if I take a job at Theory? That was a really tough question to answer because I don't think that a lot of people seem to forget that the people who are working there are local people
Yep.
who need jobs.
Yes.
So it was
Their
very
jobs.
correct. They pay money,
Yep.
right? You get to go to work and you
Right.
get to take a paycheck.
Right.
She did not take that job because she was afraid of the retribution that she might get for doing that.
Is she somebody within the community, cannabis community, would you say?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I got you.
And
Yep.
so now,
Even a greater.
correct. And to me, that's really sad. I don't think she has found anything else yet. But my point, I guess, is that
Well, there was
that
a
should
dispute a little while ago that was open on Instagram between the Bear Mama and Dawson Julia.
Don't tell me. Let's not talk about that, right?
Well, no, we don't have to if you don't want to. I want to say one thing about it, and you don't have to say a thing about it.
No,
if you don't want to.
go ahead.
The idea that this conversion of trying to bring somebody to this other side
Yeah.
at the sacrifice of making it their battle when it was never their battle.
Correct.
It was a way of living,
Yes.
and it will be. And you can hire within the cannabis community. There are a lot of ways of outreach there. Indeed is very popular as well for
sure.
them as well.
Yep. For sure.
So people who are still looking at like Curaleaf and such are also looking at these companies. So there is that too.
There is, yes.
But the roles, one is a little bit more like I'm not criticizing the infrastructure on stores, but they're also very new. The concepts are very new for the people who are in place.
Without a doubt.
So there are some growing pains.
Absolutely.
So that can make it a little bit, and I'm not saying every place is, but you know what I mean. They're still finding it. What they did during COVID and how adaptable they became,
Amazing.
amazing it was.
Truly
they
amazing.
really nailed that.
They did.
And some took one. How many different approaches did we see taken during COVID?
Infinite.
Right. So to think that you're going to have everybody approach a problem the same way,
Right.
in regards to how they want to protect the medical industry or
course.
program.
Yeah, I mean, people, everybody has a different vision on what they want to do in order to protect the program. I stand in the middle. I mean, I don't want to get involved with fighting with anyone on either side. I just want to make sure that, that, and I said it last night when I was testifying in front of the OMP. Look, these people are my friends. These are people that I know that are going to lose. We're talking about losing jobs, right? People are, they're going to lose their jobs. Well,
Yeah.
they're not just losing their jobs. They're losing everything, because you got these growers up north. Their job consists of their home, their land, their garden, the supply. I mean, they could potentially lose everything, and it's
10,000 jobs in a
10,000
workforce
jobs.
right
Yes.
now. I don't, I can't pretend to know where a lot of the job force, percentages go. Maybe
Yeah.
I would have to assume because of the way societal needs are, we have a lot of just, that convenience type of occupation that's available for people
For sure.
right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Whether it's in fast food or I don't even know where retail is at this point.
I don't either.
Talked to Dave over at Hazy Hill a little while back, a couple podcasts back, and
Yeah.
it struck me about how Freeport is built on retail storefronts. This could be an amazingly crucial year for those that still survive or are still surviving.
Right.
I don't know what the impact's been on the local Freeport businesses, but I'm talking about the larger ones that had come from outside all this investment in.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
to go almost a year with barely a return because everybody turned online.
Everybody did. Yep. Oh, yeah. I mean, I have to admit, I fell into that
I did.
rabbit hole as well.
Yeah. I'll go into, the hardware stores because
Oh, yeah.
you got to go into the hardware
Got to
stores.
go into
You got to
the
spend
hardware
time
store.
in there.
Got to go into there. You got to go into the hardware stores and the dispensaries. There you
Yep.
go.
Yeah, right. Those are the only two places you really need to go.
Everything else from Amazon. But yeah.
So I don't know. I hope that's not the case. I hope as we pull out of this into the springtime, I'm hoping that we go further in that direction. I never did answer your question, by the way, when you asked. I think I sort of did.
Yeah.
By talking about Bear Mama.
I think you did too.
That's my take.
Yeah. And
The battle has to be for self first, and
Correct.
and then the common good after.
correct.
So
And I guess that's what is.
I don't see it as a sellout in that sense. I can't see it as that. Not right now. If we were thriving,
Correct.
had
That
we
would-
been 10 years in existence as a model, and then they came
Right.
in and that kind of thing, well, maybe
Different story.
that localism feel would maybe be that would create a backlash. So I'm sure, but we're not far enough along with everything else that we're doing in society for society of making it more of that small business.
Absolutely right.
I think we're at that turning point now. It's not going to be everything. There are going to be some things that just don't make a recovery, like never come back.
Oh, with it, yeah.
I don't know.
There's going to be a lot of that. Yeah,
Yep.
there's going to be a lot of that.
But with that comes innovations.
Sure it does. Yeah,
So-
it does, absolutely. No, it's going to be interesting to see what happens either way. But I appreciate you answering my question. I think that I think we share the same view on that. But what I do sort of have a problem with is, I do see a lot of people on IG, blasting people for working at these facilities. And you know what? I mean, we don't need that right now. There's so much divisiveness. My entire objective is just to try and get everyone on the same page, and it's a very united community as it is, but just to bring everybody together, at least for this fight.
We still have to be civil. We still have to understand that we are planets.
Correct.
We're individuals. That we're all planets. We're not the sun. So
Correct.
let's not act like the sun.
Absolutely right.
There's
Absolutely
greater.
right. There is. There is.
Yeah, I mean, it is hard to ask. Well, it's just hard to ask people. I always chose in life never to tell people what to do. You can kind of outside my boy, but
Yeah. Oh yeah.
but that's necessary.
Oh yeah.
He tells me what to do sometimes.
For
too,
sure.
You know what I'm
without-
saying? Huh?
without a doubt. I'm
There's
sure
some
he tells
scrapping
you all
going
the
on.
time.
I'm gonna whoop him tonight.
You
That's
betcha.
right.
Oh my goodness.
Would you ever be interested in writing reviews again? Would you? What sparks you now? What gets you excited in different, like, very selfish ways for you?
In very selfish ways?
Yeah, in
Oh,
selfish
boy.
ways. Or are you just a selfless guy now? Or have you always had that approach? I say that, and I don't look at the term as selfish as bad.
Yeah.
know-
I know.
you know what I
yeah.
mean.
Oh, I do know what you mean.
That indulgence for you, is it through cannabis, or are there other things as well that you love to indulge in?
Yeah.
You stay away from politics, which is great.
I stay away from politics. Yeah.
Science, or
Yes, I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated. Well, what really sort of gets me is very into astronomy, the planets. The age-old question, I guess.
yeah.
The hell are we doing here, and all that stuff. But I do love.
I don't ask that anymore. I don't.
Yeah,
I spent
what?
my younger years doing that a little bit
Now
more.
that you say that, I guess I really haven't thought that in a
No.
while. Yeah, we're just kind
I
of.
think we're at that. Oh, so this is the ride.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, all right. Yeah, I was trying to figure that out for a long time, and yeah, well, there's not really much to figure out when it comes to it.
I found that I was able to, on the back end of COVID, release a lot of other things that should cause somebody anguish.
Yeah.
I found, like, wow, those dissolve too.
Yes.
So it was this total cleansing. So there's sort of this change, and I don't know how much that's happened for other people as well.
I think everybody's gonna come out of this differently
Yeah.
than they went into it, for sure.
Yep.
With a greater appreciation of, not only the freedoms and liberties that we have to just go out and do whatever the hell we want, whenever the hell we want.
Yep.
But, I know from talking to, people are hurting, man. People want to hug people. People want to smoke with people. People want to hang out.
Yep.
I think it's been devastating to everybody.
From a psyche point of view
From a
as well.
psyche point, for sure. For sure. I mean, I suffer from depression.
Yep.
as you know, a lot of people do, and you know, the winters in Maine
Can take a toll.
can take a real toll, and I think this year it took. I mean, you doubled that toll.
Yeah.
It was. There was nothing to do.
And it wasn't even a brutal winter in a weather sense, I didn't think. We had a bad storm or two up here.
Yeah,
Actually, I had a tree. I lost power twice in 1 week, but that was about the highlight.
That was
of
it.
That was it.
That week, yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what winter was in a nutshell.
It's been a terrible winter. It's been a terrible
So,
winter.
yeah, probably more so for people who, well, there's a large population here that'll take their sleds up north for the weekends.
Oh, for sure.
Or for,
Yeah.
probably down in the Portland area too, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. Without
Out
a
of staters too. It's a
For
good
sure.
practice hitting the ski slopes. So,
doubt. Yeah, for sure. You know, something I don't even know that it was brought up yesterday at the OMP hearing, but
you watched it all, you said, or pretty much all of it.
I watched the whole thing, man. I was called third to last.
Boy, they really know.
So
they really know how to keep you on. Don't they?
I was texting people, and I kept saying to them, I was like, I think they're like bumping me to the back continuously because I logged into this at 8:30, and Michael Doherty over at
Yep.
he signed in after me, and that some bitch got on before me. So I don't know how they did it, but I think they saw my name and they were like, "Yeah."
Kept sliding you down. Kept sliding you down.
Put him to the bottom of the queue. Lower his hand. Lower his hand.
What'd you have a chance to say when you got that time?
You know what? I had nothing.
At that point, there was nothing new.
there was
I'm
nothing.
thinking.
Everything had been said.
Yep.
Right. Everything had been said.
Which is
Very-
great, though.
very-
Repetitively, is
absolutely.
not a bad thing.
And
So
I
it makes you
was-
more selective about what you say.
It did, and I will go on. You know, I will say that I was very impressed at how eloquent that everyone was. Everyone was incredibly respectful, very, very eloquent in the way that they got their points across. Saw a lot of emotion, raw, like heartfelt emotion, which to me was the most important part of the whole goddamn thing. I mean, there were about 8 people who, you know, sort of broke down, and I broke down with them, you know, with every single one of them. But yeah, so I think they kept putting me down to the gosh darn bottom because they didn't want me to talk, or they just didn't like my name or whatever it was. But you know, I didn't have anything written down. My partner in crime, Grant, he had a whole thing planned.
A script, yep.
He was
Having plans accordingly like
Yeah,
that
he was-
sometimes. He's
he-
freewheeling a lot
exactly.
more, though. But
yes, well, Grant was. Oh, he's awesome, man. He's. You know, I referred to myself last
you guys are
night.
co-founders of Save
Yeah,
Maine
right,
Medical.
right? The
Okay.
co-founders of it, and you know, so he was the one who shows up on the Zoom testimony in a suit and a tie, you know, looking $1 million, right? And I, you know, I had on my regular gear with my big fat gray beard hanging out. I just pleaded to them as human beings, man. I just there was nothing left to be said. I didn't speak to any particular statutes or really even to the legislature at all, or the proposed legislation, I should say. I really told them what I have seen in my experiences in the past 30 years of having to get the stigma, the invalid stigma, incorrect stigma, whatever you want to call it, on this plant, you know, eradicated. And, you know, I mean, that's where we are.
You guys are so by going to stores, sharing a little bit more information on Instagram, you guys have gained a good amount of a lot more interaction as well too. So does that
sure.
make you feel like where do you feel the trends going now and what you want to send out for a message for? Is it about how we're going to react now, or what we should be focusing on upcoming as a community?
I think without a doubt, yeah. You know, I think that.
Where do you see the redirect, I guess, is where I ask. We've been focused on, is it signatures? Is it getting people involved in that sense?
We've been focusing on the signatures, but we've been focusing. It was surprising to me how many people in the industry really weren't aware what was going on. We had people reaching out all the time asking for an explanation, like what does all this mean? And you can hand out a flyer and have them scan the QR code and go fill out a form to be put on our petition, but they didn't understand the underlying issues. Mm-hmm. So a lot of what we did, in addition to getting these signatures, was education and just trying to make these people, give them a good understanding of what these rules mean and why it is so important for every single person in the community, whether you're a patient, whether you own a storefront, delivery driver, caregiver, whatever you are, it's so important for everyone to know what's going on and to be involved. Strength in numbers is what I've always believed.
Now, having more information, has it made you more into the investigative end of things?
Maybe. Well,
because I've thought about that too, but yet, as far as like one of those things like the podcast, I thought about sharing. I guess I do only through podcasts, like some of the stories that I might tell.
Right. Well,
we felt it important not to have an opinion, but at times like this, it's about having an opinion.
It is. Yeah,
so.
It is.
Can't get into every skirmish.
No, you
either.
Can't. No, you never get anything done.
Right.
You never get anything done. We're going to continue the same message that we've been sending. This is actually when it gets tough. This is when shit gets real. Mm-hmm. We've had our second hearing now.
Was it regulation that put other states out more?
Yes,
it was.
Absolutely. Yeah, overreach and over-regulation, man.
And was there a unified attack against the regulations that were being brought on back then?
There were.
That were making noise too, I'm assuming.
They were making noise.
Yeah.
They were making noise, but I hate to have to go back to this again, but I will because I find it to be the truth. It was so new, right? When Colorado did it, they were just so happy to have access
Cannabis.
to weed.
Yeah, right.
They didn't care.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
So, yeah, they put up a fight, right, but to them it was like, look, do we want cannabis or not? Like, it's going to be here. It's here.
Yeah.
So what are we, to an extent I can understand.
That was fast.
That was fast.
Because there hadn't been a model before it.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And
Just
so
happened to be here at one point.
Yeah.
And you don't realize, yeah.
That's
this
absolutely
was
right.
A play.
That's absolutely right. And, unfortunately, right, other states used their model, right?
Yeah, look how successful those plans were.
Yeah.
Could you look at our first 5 years of this chart?
Right.
Oh, look
Yeah.
at that. How successful. And your state can do the same.
Exactly
that kind
right.
of thing, huh?
Exactly right. Exactly right. And
So this is as much
what
about
we're
the machine as
yes,
it is anything else.
Absolutely. Absolutely as much about the machine as anything else. And, I don't know if I'm one of the few people who actually believe this. I don't know how Dawson feels. I know that Dawson Julia seems to think that we beat them up pretty good yesterday.
Yeah.
And I would agree.
Yeah.
I don't know if beat them up is the right word. I think we showed them who we are. I think we showed them who we really, truly are. And what I have to keep telling myself is that, look, I get it that the OMP is like the empire, okay? Everyone hates them. But what I always try to remember is that they're made up of human beings, and that human beings have emotions and are capable of making decisions that may surprise you. So I don't know, call me an optimist, call me whatever you want to call me, but I do believe that to be true, and I just think that as long as the surge of momentum that we have had, which has been unbelievable.
It has been.
It has been truly unbelievable. I mean, I don't know that I've been a part of something
This large in scope? It has become greater. It has become larger.
This large in scope, but also just like this. It's just a very heartfelt feeling. Seeing, everybody coming together. My dearest friend who I've known for 45 years, who grows out in Oregon. It's a different story, man.
Yeah.
It's all. I mean, it's so competitive out there. Nobody helps anybody out.
Right.
You need to make some hash, but you don't have any weed to get washed or whatever. Okay, well, we've got some. The shit I see here.
There's been a lot of friendships and things that have gone wrong, obviously.
For sure.
But there's been, think about from a store point of view, how many different vendors they'll deal with in a year or a month or a week. And you start, and that can sometimes cycle where they're like, hey, we're expanding out our menu, or we want to include you at this time in your harvest, and so on and so forth. Dealing with potentially hundreds to hundreds, 100 to 200, I'd guess, from every scope of.
Yes. Yeah.
There's that much going on together. People are figuring it out, and there's, it's turning into, we're talking about this interstate, commerce going on here as well.
Right, exactly.
Beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful.
And it's only been a 2-year. I could see a little bit more of a boom in many different avenues into it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to see the big push for a lot more cultivation or a lot more.
Right.
I don't know if because that feels like we'd be overexpanding our market.
I was going to say oversaturating, but yeah,
Oversaturating.
Overexpanding, I know.
Yeah, right.
I know what you mean as well.
I meant to say what you did.
Our minds are in the same place.
P